Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld. Thanks for being a friend. Here's what's coming up. A sorority video so outlandish, it upset a single feminist, aren't they all? After a complaint that it wasn't diverse, they pulled it off the web. Reporters accused both Donald Trump and Jeb Bush of using an offensive immigration term. And both candidates tell the reporters to go pound sand, which, as of August 23rd, is not an offensive term. And the Ashley Madison hack has made a lot of Americans very, very nervous. But not me. I cannot emphasize that enough. I've missed you, America. Let's get started.
It's dumb. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
He talks until his time is up.
It's not journalism. It's, I almost said a bad word.
This poor guy shows up there and just makes a fool of himself. It's like, it's just sad. This is your chance to hit mute.
So like a chocolate eclair on Alec Baldwin's plate, it seems that Hillary's campaign is finished. The embattled emailer is sticking to her story that storing official missives on a private server in New Jersey, backed up by another server in the closet, in a bathroom, in a loft, in Colorado, which is a state, is no big deal. Doesn't every Secretary of State do this? But did she try to wipe that server clean?
Wipe the whole server.
I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something? No. Well,
you know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
You did not try.
Ed, I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said. Thank you all very much.
This issue isn't going to go away for the remainder of your campaign.
Nobody talked to me about it, other than you guys.
She flopped harder than Johnny Depp's Mordecai. What an angry pumpkin. Now a federal judge says Clinton's emails violated government policy. And usually what a federal judge says is fairly important, at least in my house. What does the Clinton campaign think of this? Let's ask Fox's chief White House correspondent and my squash partner, Ed Henry. Ed, I know you're in the Hamptons right now. I'm just wondering if below screen you're actually in your swim trunks.
No, I've got pants on, but what's interesting, a news conference could break out at any point out here in the Hamptons because Hillary Clinton is vacationing here.
That's true. That seemed like a fun interview. Did you expect her to kind of flip out like that?
No, it was interesting. I thought it was a very direct but pointed question, but a fair question as well, and she seemed to struggle with a simple yes or no. Did she wipe the server? If she didn't, did she direct someone else? The bottom line is, whether I got an answer or not, the FBI has got a bit more power than I do. And now that they're investigating this, they've got subpoena power, they've got a criminal investigation open. And I think that's been the game changer in all of this, which is that it's one thing for Republicans on the Hill to be beating up Hillary Clinton. It's easy to take the Clinton playbook and say, this is partisanship. Once the FBI is involved, the FBI, by the way, which reports to the Obama Justice Department, it's been a lot harder for her to answer these questions.
Biden seems to be he's going to D.C. for some meetings. What do you think? What does this mean? Is he jumping in?
I think Joe Biden is edging closer to getting in. I mean, you had the fact that the story leaked a couple of weeks ago that his late son's dying wish was that his father get in to run for president one more time. In part, the leak at the very beginning said to block the Clintons from getting the White House back. And if you look at this, 6 months ago, it would have seemed ridiculous to think that this particular vice president, who's made a lot of gaffes, and would be a third Obama term, by the way, right, which usually you don't win when you try a third term of a sitting president, it would be improbable that he'd have a good shot. Now, given all of Hillary Clinton's email problems, the Clinton Foundation, and look, now the Clinton camp is saying, well, our strategy at the end of the summer is going to be to go back to her time as Secretary of State, focus on the positive.
Right.
Well, what's that? The Russian reset? The Iran deal? She has a lot of explaining to do, and that's why her campaign's in big trouble.
We have to move on. Enjoy the rest of your Hamptons work plan. I'm sure you've got your SPF up very high.
It's really been wonderful being with you, Greg.
Yes, go away now. I love Ed Henry. All right, let's welcome tonight's other guest. He's got more chops than a Ruth Chris steakhouse. It's the awesome actor from Justified and other great stuff, Nick Searcy. Look at him in that shirt. Yum, yum. Well, she's so sharp that hemophiliacs avoid her. It's Democratic strategist with Doug Schoen consulting, Jessica Tarlov. First time for her here. Well, he's so bright, lost sailors follow him home at night. It's Freethink Media executive producer Kmele Foster. She's just here to finish off our empties, then sleep under a table. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky. And she's our answer key in oversized comedy glasses. It's our op-ed, Katherine Timpf from National Review. Finally, last and most certainly least, our liberal panel. All right, Nick, I want to go to you first. Is Hillary Clinton over, or is she over?
Well, I'll just put it like she did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's like she created the greatest meme in internet history.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going well for her, is it?
No, and you know, it's remarkable. I was watching that exchange, and she's very testy.
Yes.
She gets very upset very easily, and I think that common with a lot of Democrats because they're not used to being questioned at all.
She seems like it's like the end of Fargo, the movie, when they corner Jerry Lundergarden in the bedroom. It's like she wants to get away, but she can't.
Well, she can, because you probably won't see her for another month now, actually. I mean, it was shocking that she did this in the first place, and I don't think she expected. I think that exchange was 4.5 minutes, and she really engaged with Ed, which I think is a good thing, or moving in the right direction. But another bad joke came out. This is on the heels of the Snapchat joke, which I think is going to go down in history as one of the bigger political mistakes that you could make, maybe almost federal indictment or whatever is going to happen out of this. But as to the point, if she's over, she's still leading in the polls. I know it's 18 points and it used to be 60. That's a big difference, and Bernie Sanders is gaining, but I don't think we're going to elect Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden needs her infrastructure. I mean, we're talking about it, and it's interesting, but at the end of the day, they're going to be going for the same people. And I think Democrats are not quite ready to abandon the Clinton ship here.
I kind of agree with you there, but then, Kmele, I look and I see that it seems to me that she's lost control of the event. It's like a child who let go of his birthday balloon, and it's heading towards a power line.
Yeah, but it's still so early. I think that's what's really important here. If all of this was playing out in sort of the heat of the election and we were down to 2 people, then maybe this would matter a lot more. But I wonder if we keep talking about it now, the voters don't fatigue on the issue, and the only thing that could actually make this a federal case is it becoming a federal case.
That's a good point.
I try.
Joanne, you failed many times in life, but you bounced back. What is your advice for Hillary right now?
Oh, she has to fully commit. There's someone on her campaign staff who was telling her, you need to make these jokes, but she's really not committing to them.
I think who was controlling all of that.
I'm suggesting that next, her campaign song, she needs to add it to the joke, and it should be Wipeout.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
She can just always enter to that, and then everyone laughs, and then...
It's very cute. It's very cute. Katherine, apparently the Democrats want a woman in the White House because, let's face it, it's a historical first. I want a clarinet player. I happen to think we need a clarinet player as a first. Do any of the candidates play a clarinet?
Yes. Jim Gilmore plays the clarinet.
Really?
Yeah, he in school made it to the all-county, all-regional, and all-student USA bands.
Really?
Very big moment for the Gilmore family.
Do you think that's gonna play a role in his candidacy? Could that bring him back?
I think that it could, because it could be a viral video if he gave a speech and he just started playing a clarinet instead. People would think that was real wacky.
It is wacky.
Like wacky.
Who doesn't like wacky? Speaking of wacky, liberal panel, are you worried about your chosen candidate? It was supposed to be a coronation. Now it's an annihilation. Thank you. That almost rhymed.
No, Greg, and I'm shocked and offended that you would malign our greatest Secretary of State of all time in this way. If there's one thing we know about the Clintons, they do not wipe away evidence.
That is true.
And I think her jokes are hilarious, and if I were a brick wall, I would want her to stand in front of me.
Very nice. All right, by all accounts, Carly Fiorina crushed it. Whatever that means, I'm 50. In the smaller of the 2 Fox Republican debates, and her poll numbers jumped. The latest Fox News poll puts her in 7th place among the 17 GOP candidates. And yet, if CNN keeps to their rules as they are, Carly won't go farly, not making the cut for the next debate in September because CNN is averaging polls that go back to July 16th before the Fox debate. Did you follow that, Nick, and is that fair?
I think that CNN's keeping her off because they're scared of her.
That might be true because she would be good with Trump, right, Jessica? Do you think this hurts the Republicans, too? Because
it does once the Trump show is over. I mean, this is the thing. He's sucking up so much energy, so much airtime, all of it out of the debates, because he has this 25% of the vote. And then you have all of these people who have legitimate ideas, they deserve to be heard, and they're getting pushed out because of it. I mean, But the public has spoken, and they're into Trump. I mean, you're into Carly, but many others are into Trump.
It's not right. To me, I don't think it's fair, Kmele.
I mean, CNN is entitled, obviously, to use whatever sort of methodology they'd like to, but clearly I think there is some momentum building there, and plenty of voters want to hear what she has to say.
Well, and I think, too, a lot of voters, what they like about Trump, Carly Fiorina also has, because she is kind of new. She has these new ideas.
Carson, too.
She's not, exactly. And we need her on that stage because where Trump doesn't give any sort of policy or any actual statistics or facts, Fiorina does. And if they're on the same stage.
Like the fact that he's not saying a great deal of substance, he's giving them these great laugh lines and he's pushing back against the commentators.
Well, yeah, entertainment at its finest, of course. But as these debates go on, we're getting closer to electing a president who needs those facts.
I find facts to be very complicated, Kat. I'm learning through this process that the fewer facts you have, the further you go. Am I correct?
No.
Or farther?
You have to be a little wacky and fun and interesting, but facts are a nice bonus.
All right.
Yeah, especially with the internet available with all the facts.
I got a question for the liberal panel. As much as Obama might loathe the Clintons, I don't think they're going to have the Justice Department indict Hillary, because the Clintons are like Obama's obnoxious neighbors. You can't stand them, but you don't want to start a fight with them because then they'll run over your mailbox and they'll probably drug your dog.
Oh.
Well, Greg, once again, I'm shocked and offended that you would ask me that, and you're all wrong again. I think Hillary will get a Congressional Medal of Honor because not only is she not destroying printed emails, she's actually destroying digital emails, so think of how small her carbon footprint is.
Oh, that's a very good point, you talking piece of crap. All right, before we go, a quick update on a story that we've been following closely. Earlier this week, off the coast of Cape Cod, an actual place, a gray seal escaped certain death. Why do we have to care about the color? At the jaws of a great, of course, white shark. The incredible video went viral, but I couldn't help but wonder what happened to these animals. So I sent a reporter to find out. Here's our latest installment of Where Are They Now?
Well, this is the story of one lucky seal. He's fast, too. Watch this. He leaps, there he goes. And there goes the great white shark.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's right after him.
Oh, that's great. What happened?
Amazing. He got away.
Got away?
He got away.
Well, he wasn't dinner, he wasn't lunch.
He wasn't dinner or lunch.
That was on Wednesday. Great white shark Carl Silvertooth and seal Jonathan Whiskerton became instant celebrities after their confrontation was broadcast on national TV. But the fame immediately took the pair in opposite directions. Silvertooth was called a bully on social media and shunned by the rest of the underwater predator community. Completely alone and afraid of hunting again, he swam to the deepest place on Earth, the Mariana Trench. He was never seen again. Whiskerton, meanwhile, parlayed his newfound fame into a meeting with producer Jerry Bruckheimer, who in turn introduced him to another famous seal. Sources say the pair are now developing a new game show for NBC called Seal or No Seal. The legendary performer called the move a no-brainer.
When somebody asks you to be a part of something so wonderful, that's an invitation I couldn't resist.
This has been a Where Are They Now?
Well, congratulations to both seals on the new project. It's time now to take a break. Up next, we discuss a guy whose name rhymes with Donald Trump. Yes, Ronald Klump, my ophthalmologist. He's a wonderful guy, Nick. Good night. So here's the thing. The word anchor, not offensive. The word babies, not offensive. But if I put those two words together, I better have the trigger warning handy. Trigger the horse. Anchor babies. Donald Trump used that term a few times this week while laying out his immigration plan. Till a reporter told Trump he can't be going around saying that.
Are you aware that the term anchor baby, that's an offensive term? People find that.
You mean it's not politically correct and yet everybody uses it? So you know what? Give me a different term. Give me a different term. What else would you like to say?
The American-born child with an undocumented immigrant.
Oh, you want me to say that? Okay. No, I'll use the word anchor baby. Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
That just makes me laugh. Then along comes Jeb Bush, who really doesn't want to have to agree with Trump on anything, says the same thing Trump said.
Do you regret using the term anchor babies yesterday on the radio?
No, I didn't.
Is that
I don't regret it.
You don't regret it?
No, do you have a better term?
I'm asking you. A lot of folks find it offensive.
You give me a better term and I'll use it. I'm serious.
Governor.
Don't yell at me behind my ear, though.
Yes, that's offensive. Yeah. And Hillary, who had been having the worst week ever, tweets to Jeb, they're called babies. Unless, of course, if they're at Planned Parenthood, then, of course, they're anchor tissue. Before I go to the panel, I'm curious about when did anchor baby become offensive? Kat, do you know when it was decided? Why?
Yes, 2006.
Really?
Grant Barrett of the New York Times declared it derogatory. Yes, so everybody should be listening to the New York Times.
I do.
Yeah, apparently Donald Trump doesn't.
Okay, well maybe that's why America is embracing him. Kmele, isn't this a strategy of the left to go after the language and decide what words we can use and what we can't use?
I've seen that strategy deployed a few times. I mean, the real issue here for me isn't that anchor baby is offensive. It's that this whole description of a phenomena is not factually accurate. We don't actually have this thing where people are having children and then they get to stay here forever magically.
We don't?
That's not how the whole process works. There are plenty of immigration lawyers who would sit here happily instead of me and explain it. I'm not one of those.
Do you not
but
want
that's
to be
not
here?
how it works.
No,
I'm just saying that they would be better than me at explaining that.
Gotcha.
So are you saying it's a minuscule problem or not a problem at all?
I'm saying that it's a minuscule problem. I have not read anything that suggests that there is this rash of people who are having children here and then get to stay here indefinitely. The ability to actually do something starts when you're like 18. So you have to hide this child away until they're 18 so that they can do something?
Well, Kmele, I happen to have a stack of names of... Oh, no, those aren't it.
I don't think so.
I wish I did.
If it wasn't happening at all, why would they have made up an offensive term about it?
That's a good point.
It's sort of like welfare queens. I mean, it doesn't, simply because it's not factual doesn't mean that talking about it doesn't get you some points.
But
which
where did it come
obviously
from?
It does.
Why did it happen so often that they came up with this little catchphrase about it? I mean, it must have happened quite a few times.
Well, we know
it's recent.
At least 10 times.
Yes,
well,
that's all it takes.
In 2006, it was a debatable issue because of the presidential election. So a lot of people were talking about immigration then, and so that's why it kept coming up.
Right. By the way, Welfare Queen was actually a tribute band to Queen on a very, very limited budget.
Shocking.
Yes, and it just got twisted into something really weird. I think the problem with this thing is that it's actually... They're great in Trump's list of things to do. There was actually some good stuff in there.
Yeah, well, that's all lost now.
It's all lost.
After the Constitution, kind of. He
Yeah.
said, well, I'm not actually going to do an amendment. There are a lot of good, or maybe he said terrific, I'm not sure, lawyers who agree with me, and we're going to litigate this all over the place. And it just kind of, when he's talking about E-Verify, when he's talking about tougher enforcement, when he's, and then he says that's all we're focusing on. Like, now we're just focusing on anchor babies, which... It ruins the point, and this is a problem on the left. I think generally the PC policeness of it, I'll admit it. And I think you really start missing the point. But this idea that you can deport American citizens, or that, there are 11 to 14 million people here that we need to deal with. So, I mean,
I'm only for deporting people with man buns. That's it.
Not the really good-looking ones, please.
Well, there's none.
No.
Trust me.
No, there are.
I've been doing research. I want to move on to Friday's Alabama rally, which was pretty amazing. Donald spoke to a crowd of about 30,000 there in Alabama, where he took a dookie on a cookie.
I love Oreos. I'll never eat them again. Okay? I'll never eat them again. Nabisco closes a plant they just announced a couple of days ago in Chicago, and they're moving the plant to Mexico. Now, why? Why?
All right, this is the first I've heard, and he's actually correct about this. But I want to go to Kat again. Why are they moving the plant?
Well, because policies in America make companies pay twice the world's average for sugar.
Really? So
Yep.
is that necessarily Nabisco's fault?
No, it's the government's fault. It's the government's fault. Sugar is the #1 ingredient in these cookies. Can't have cookies without sugar. Go to Mexico, you can have a lot more cookie profits.
That's true. Okay, so he shouldn't really blame Nabisco. He should blame the government, which he happens to be good at. All right, Nick, I watched the rally last night. I watched the whole thing. I have to say that he's very entertaining, and he is great with the crowd. But he reminds me of like your kind of like your rich uncle. who wants to tell you a bunch of stories, and it's kind of fun, but then you want to go home. But he's having such a good time, and he tells the same stories. I've heard the story about Ford.
Yeah.
And I know that Carl Icahn's a great guy. Right. I do know that already. Yeah. But it is working, right?
Well, he is like a stand-up. I mean, I've seen him now a couple of times. Saw him once live, and he's hilarious.
Yes,
I mean, and it's that sort of aspect of his campaign is sort of irresistible. I mean, I kind of went from thinking he was funny to thinking he was awful and dangerous, and now I'm back to thinking he's funny again.
Yeah, he's winning me over with just his I don't give a attitude.
Yeah,
and he's actually kind of entertaining. This is, Jessica, this is my theory, is that if Trump could split these things apart, like if he could take this enthusiastic phenomenon and separate it from the unrealistic, quixotic, stuff about anchor babies, he could win.
Well, yeah, but he might want to take a real advisor, maybe to talk to him about that, or have some infrastructure, or, read about policy or study history in some ways. I mean, there are things that he can do to better his campaign that way, but he's not
really
But that's why he's so relatable and why people love him, because so much of the country is very opinionated and very passionate.
But that's why he's so dangerous.
And they're like, he sounds like me, he sounds like my family, but as you get farther along, that's not going to carry.
Well,
I'll tell you what, Kmele, you know what would make me work for Trump?
What's that?
If he was in a confrontation the way Bernie Sanders was with Black Lives Matter, if he handled a confrontation like that the way you would expect him to, I think that he would win to stand up to people who are, I guess, aggressively PC, I guess.
Sure. That would be nice.
It would be nice.
Battling with facts would be nice. If he had the sophistication to talk about the issues of policy that actually make it hard for American companies to operate here within the borders of the country, instead of pandering to the audience and talking about immigration as though that is the single reason why America isn't doing as well as it could be. Build a wall, build a moat, get weaponized drones and shoot them on the border. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree that this is not making America great again doesn't require you deporting everybody that's illegal. There are other things. Terror, especially, is an important part that I think he's missing. The other thing I like, though, Joanne, about him, is that he reminds me of me at a bar. Like, when you've been there, when I just start talking, and you've heard the stories, but you just kind of laugh and smile.
Because I have a flask hidden in my jacket, and I can only listen to you when I am equally as intoxicated. Which, I mean, truly, if I were going to one of these events, I'm sure they pat you down, but you can sneak something in.
Yes.
And half of these people are, a little loose, and they're
tailgate
they're just having
It was fun.
time.
It was fun. That's what
something to do.
I got to tell you, at least he's having fun, and people are having fun. Liberal panel, you're probably against fun.
Well, I'll say this is clearly cookie privilege.
Yes? How so?
Well, we all know that you should eat Hydrox instead of Oreos because Hydrox are vegan, and therefore I assume made in Canada.
Yes.
And also, what about the people who are lactose intolerant? Can't enjoy a glass of milk with this. I think they're underrepresented.
Yes. Well, the other thing, but the good thing about Oreos, they are biracial.
White on the inside. Nice try, Greg.
I was just trying to play your game, since you're always consumed with color. All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, Ashley Madison, offensive commercials and emails. Now, not all at once, of course. That's why God invented the dimension of time, so we can spread things out. Did you notice that? But first, it's time once again to take a look at some of the tougher questions facing the presidential candidates on the 2016 trail. I'm excited.
Coming up this week on the Campaign Trail 2016, Hillary Clinton heads to fundraisers in New England. But is she promising to build a real-life Death Star by the end of her first term?
We've done the numbers on this. We can do this if we are committed to it.
Plus, Ben Carson rallies voters in Iowa. But if elected, what sports would he outlaw first?
Baseball, basketball, football, dodgeball. I don't believe in any of that crap.
And finally, John Kasich holds a town hall in New Hampshire. But does he really think we need to bring back Crystal Pepsi?
America needs that again, in my opinion. Honestly.
Till next week on the Campaign Trail 2016.
A recruitment video by a University of Alabama sorority, Alpha Phi, is the subject of grave outrage by grave outrage merchants because of this. It showed the girls having fun. The pushback was led by angry writer A.L. Bailey, for it lacked ethnic diversity. See the evil again. Oh, yay. Horrible. They even gave each other piggyback rides in bikinis.
This is great.
Clearly mocking one-eyed people. Bailey condemns the video as so racially and aesthetically homogenous and forced, so hyper-feminine, whatever that is, so reductive and objectifying, so Stepford Wives College Edition, it's all so unempowering. Wow, somebody took gender studies. How else was she able to string together so many catchphrases and still say nothing whatsoever? Who was this Stepford wife exactly? I guess you would have preferred this instead.
I want to mourn the loss of all the old growth trees I've seen and tell them that we love them.
It's actually an MSNBC ideas meeting. But like typical cowards faced with the micro-aggrieved, a University of Alabama flack said, quote, "This video is not reflective of UA's expectations for student organizations." And as of yet, no disciplinary action is being taken against the Alphas. But the backlash was so harsh. Well, that was tough. They deleted the video from all social media, which is sad when you consider Sean King, a biracial spokesmouth for Black Lives Matter, whose family members now confirmed to CNN that he's white. He denies this, saying that he doesn't know who his daddy is. Could he be the male version of Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who claimed to be black, which also afforded her status in press? Who knows? But both suggest a way out for the girls of Alpha Phi. When someone accuses you of being too white or too blonde, just tell them you're black. After all, since identity is now fluid and hoaxes are acceptable, who's to say you aren't? As of now, I'm a transgendered Eskimo. Period. Kmele, I go to you for no apparent reason.
Yes.
Why can't they say they're black if identity now seems to be a choice?
Well, I'm fine with that, actually. And as we've discussed before, I am racially agnostic. I don't self-identify as black. Black race is a social construct, and to the extent that anyone makes a big deal about it, they're all pretending.
So you don't consider yourself black?
I don't care about such things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It doesn't really mean anything. I'm all sorts of really great stuff, like a husband and a business owner and a brother and a nephew. I don't need that other stuff. It's not necessary.
I could use some of that stuff.
Go for it.
I've had a pretty rough life, Nick. Were you as offended by the video as I was?
I was offended by the lack of men in it. and because of the hyper femininity in that video, I'm going to do a little manspreading right now, if you don't mind.
This is too hot for me.
Can I join you in that?
Nice white pants, guys.
Do you know that they have manspreading is when men's legs widen on the subway? They have signs in the New York subway that tell you not to do that. But they don't have signs that say, "Please don't throw up on me, transient." They don't have signs that say.
They have a lot of like, "Don't touch me" now.
Yeah, they have.
Like this isn't okay. You may be closely packed in, but like, please don't touch the person next to you inappropriately.
Yes, don't feel my buttocks.
Greg, are you saying we need a video to explain to the public?
I think we do.
An ethnically diverse one.
Yes, exactly. But they won't look like they're homeless. They'll look like hipsters from Brooklyn in fedoras.
Do they want to have like busing for sororities now? Is that like forced busing?
I don't. Jessica?
Major social change is often brought around by pressure, and I'm not advocating for that necessarily in this instance, but, you know, that video, I was watching it, and I got excited when I finally saw a brunette, like a minute in.
I thought about that,
you know, and sororities, they always seemed ridiculous to me. I went to all-women's college, though, so it was kind of like a sorority anyway.
Since when do we hold sororities and fraternities up to such high esteem? Like, since when are they the role models of this country? It's a glorified club that's very expensive. If you don't want to be a part of it, save your money for something else.
But Sorry. Just super quickly, there was, in that article, they talked about a racial discrimination case, though. There was a girl who got, a black girl who got amazing scores, whatever that means, and she was still rejected, and they said, undoubtedly on the basis of her race. And we know that that's not right.
Why did you ruin this story with a fact, Jessica?
I'm so sorry.
I can't believe it. She's never on the show again. I don't know. Coming up, I shove an entire cocktail napkin in Nick Searcy's ear. But first, what's the latest on the Ashley Madison hack? If you leave now, it's over between us, and I'm keeping the ferret Captain Luscious. They screwed those who wished to screw others. The group that hacked infidelity website Ashley Madison last month made good on their threat to post sensitive customer info online. The massive data dumps included phone numbers, addresses, and names of millions of users. The group behind the breach said they did it because of Ashley Madison's supposed full delete feature. Apparently for $19, repentant cheaters could scrub their info from the site. But the hackers called it a complete lie, explaining, quote, users almost always pay with credit card. Their purchase details are never removed as promised and include real name and addresses, which, of course, the most important information the users want removed. The hacker's solution, exposing the cheaters themselves, which seems wrong to me. Nick, were you relieved your name didn't come up?
Well, I was relieved they rejected my application so many times. I was trying to get on that site for years, and I don't think I was checking enough boxes. Things I preferred.
Yes. There's a lot of fetishes involved, Nick.
Yeah.
Not just wearing loud shirts with lasers. Joanne, I have a theory. Why do so many people join Ashley Madison? It's because it's advertised late at night. It used to be advertised during red eye. So it's like 3:30 in the morning and you're alone, and all these nice people are alone and they're bored and they sign up. They are targeted. These are our people, Joanne.
We need to go back to like late night home shopping network kind of stuff. You need your guilty pleasure to be spending your hard-earned money on things you don't need. I do feel really bad. We think about us in this country, right? But this is like a global site, people all around the world, and it's outing a lot of homosexuals. And in some countries, too, even cheating is punishable.
That's true.
Law.
They could be killed.
Yeah.
They could be killed.
You know, we can like joke about it, whatever. Oh, these cheaters getting what they deserve, but a lot of people are getting what they really don't deserve.
That's a very good point, and a somber one at that. That took a lot of the humor out of this, Jessica.
Totally.
I know. She did what you did last segment.
I wholeheartedly apologize for the facts. But no, I agree with you. I mean, there are so many venues for doing this now. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, like I'm sure people are on Tinder just all day. That's another venue for it, where you think you're not going to get caught, but you're like in the same network as a million people you know. And yeah, there's nowhere safe to cheat. Maybe that's a good thing.
Singles bar. See, I think, Kmele, you got to go back to the oral legend of talking to people face to face. You go down to the Regal Beagle. Remember the Regal Beagle? That was the bar in Three's Company.
I have no experience with any of this stuff. I will admit to having searched for a bunch of my buddies' like email addresses just to see who would come up. I found one hit, and what I have to say to him is, sir, why did you use your real email address? It wasn't mandatory. It wasn't required. The other sad part of this...
Or the government employees.
Yeah, and the other sad part of this story is apparently it was a scam. Like, most of these guys weren't hooking up. You were buying credits to try to talk to women who weren't really there. It's very sad all around.
I have a dumb question, Kat. Who is Ashley Madison?
Ashley Madison is not a specific person. What they did is they combined Ashley and Madison because they were two common female names to try to attract women.
Oh,
that way women would say, wait, I'm Ashley too.
I
should have an affair.
That's a great idea. All right, we got to take a break. We come back, some of the most offensive commercials you'll ever see. And none of them include my hero, William Devane. Thank God. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Tonight's show is sponsored by Segway Polo. Looking for a pretentious sport that lets you look like a total dork while doing it? Try Segway Polo today.
On Honda was forced to pull that ad from British TV recently because it was said to encourage dangerous driving. Got me thinking, what other problematic ads are poisoning our airwaves? Our very own Katherine Timpf has watched 7,000 straight hours of TV to uncover the best of the worst for a new segment we're calling
Thanks, Greg. You know, I was blown away by the disgusting content of some of these commercials. Like this one for a web domain company.
You never know when an idea will hit you. When it does, make it official.
Cabbage taco truck. Nice.
Yep, you saw that correctly. A black car chasing a white person. All right, we get it. White has to be afraid of black, right? Isn't that ingrained enough already in our society? You don't seem upset. You're probably thinking it's just a cabbage, but the cabbage is driving a black car, which is clearly meant to represent a black male, right? Just because you have to look really hard to find microaggressions doesn't mean they're not there.
I agree. I mean, and why do we have to call them micro? Why is size so important? Aren't they all macroaggressions if they hurt you?
It's important. Well, maybe here's this other one for a Slovakian car company.
Okay.
The message here is pretty clear, right, Greg?
No.
White men think that chicks can't take care of themselves? Can you believe that they even used chicks to represent us when we all know that chicks is a derogatory term, okay? Look at this. He is literally picking up a chick, which is the exact kind of attitude that perpetuates rape culture. Does that look like the face of someone who's consenting, Greg?
It's hard to say because, as you said, it's like a chick. But I don't even look at women's faces because I find that my eyes are vessels of patriarchy.
That's true. They are. All right, well, I have one more, but I just want to warn you, this one is very upsetting.
All right.
Hey, I'm Minnie Babybel. I'm sort of a superhero. Oh, what's your superpower? Real cheese with a super wax shell. I'm Super Cheese! That's impressive. What's that? Super wax shell. I'm Super Cheese too. Super Cheese! Oh, come on. Super Cheese! Made with 98% milk.
So the superhero comes out. It's a white male cheese. How original. Oh, look, we have another one come out, and it's another white male cheese. Is it too much to ask to have just one non-white, feminist, gender non-conforming cheese? It's 2015 for crying out loud. And they have the audacity to admit that it's 98% milk, too. That's not diversity, Greg. That's a problem. And if you disagree with me, then you're the problem.
Well, you know, that's why I don't drink white milk. I only drink chocolate milk.
It's good.
Yeah, it's just something I like to do. All right. Up next, it's the debut of Greg's Mail. That's where I answer the questions that you send in. It's never been done in the history of cable, I believe. But first, let's check in with our studio audience. Thank you for being here, everyone. You look as great as always. Quick show of hands. How many of you think I look like a young Mel Gibson? I can't help what the people believe.
Yes, it's time for Greg Mail. The address is gregmail@foxnews.com. I read, he answers, then we all thank God we're not related to him. Here we go. All right, Greg, the first one comes from Pam. Love Pam. Greg, will you please consider running for president? You really have some fantastic insights and ideas.
Well, that is true. I do have many insights, and I have been approached to run for president, and I've given it serious thought. But then I realized it would be a grave mistake, for there are many things, some things in my past, that I would prefer to keep in my past. actually not that. I'm actually proud of that film. I was referring to the German art films I made in the late 80s. I destroyed a number of coffee tables, Joanne.
Yeah, your campaign wouldn't have a leg to stand on, unlike your art over there. Okay, next one. Linda wonders, what are you looking at over your left shoulder during the show?
Oh, wow, she is quite observant. I often get easily distracted, but here's why I look over there. Yeah, see, that's Vic. He's our nude cameraman. He's actually one of the best in the business, but he only works nude, and we've all learned to accept it, and maybe it's time you should too, America. And you, Joanne.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be fleshist.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that happens. All right,
moving
on. Gary asks, when are you getting Fox's most frequent face, Mr. William Devane, on your show? You know you love him.
You know, I've tried to contact Mr. Devane, or Billy, as I used to call him, but it's been a long time since we talked, and he no longer speaks to me. It was after an incident that took place on his farm in Dallas. It seems that it was not really the correct way to ride a horse, and I'm not allowed anymore on any of his properties, which is a shame because I'm quite the outdoorsman, Joanne. Here's a video of me at my own ranch. Oh, it's over, isn't it? Thank you, Joanne. And Nick Searcy, Jessica Tarlov, Kmele Foster, Ed Henry. I already thanked Joanne. Catherine, the liberal panel. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I love you.